I just had my 34th birthday, and that means apparently I'm 1 year away from being considered middle-aged. And if I could sit down with my 20-year-old self and drop some truth bombs, these are the 34 things that I would tell him. Trust me, if you're in your 20s, you need to hear these. Starting with number 1, you don't need to have it all figured out. In your 20s, there's this constant pressure to have life all figured out, but life isn't a straight line. You see, it's easy to fall behind when everyone else around you seems to be following this clear path. But remember, what you see is just a snapshot of their moment. And let's be real, most of what you see online is polished and filtered, and no one actually ever shows their struggles. So instead of stressing about the unknown, embrace it. It's a chance for growth and exploration and discovering what truly matters to you. Next, you need to stop stressing over your dream job. You're likely searching for that dream job, but the truth is it's not always about the title or position, but about the skills that you enjoy using. It's far more fulfilling to enjoy the work you're doing, even if it's not your ideal job, than to have this great title, but not actually feel engaged or interested. Take a broad view of your career, find out what it is you actually love to do, and then figure out ways to incorporate that into the work that you do. Next, learn the art of saying no early. Learning to say no is one of the most powerful tools you can have in your 20s. Every yes to something unimportant or draining is a no to something that could better serve you. You'll be pulled in countless directions by people who want your time, but not every opportunity is worth your energy. Prioritize your mental growth and your goals and your mental well-being over appeasing others. Next, your network is just as important as your skill set. Listen, you could be amazing at what you do, but if no one knows who you are, it could be a serious struggle in getting to where you want to go. Landing a job on your own could be seriously difficult, but when you have the right connections, doors open way easier. And I'm not talking about just adding random people to your LinkedIn. I'm talking about building authentic relationships with people that inspire you and challenge you and help elevate you. The connections that you make today won't just lead to job offers or collaborations. They'll give you the advice and support and opportunities that you need to thrive. Next, invest in emotional intelligence, not just IQ. Emotional intelligence is often more important than raw intelligence when it comes to success and happiness. You will face challenges and setbacks and conflicts both in your personal and professional lives, and how you respond to it is far more important than just being the smartest person in the room. Emotional intelligence will help you build resilience and handle stress and create better relationships. Start working on your EQ today because it is a lifelong skill that can make all the difference. Next, you don't need to follow the traditional career timeline. There's no right time to hit certain milestones, so stop comparing your journey to everyone else's. Your path doesn't have to be a straight line, and honestly, some of the best experiences came from those unexpected detours. Whether you're exploring, pivoting, or taking a pause, it could bring you more clarity than just rushing towards some arbitrary finish line. Some of the most successful people didn't hit their stride until their 30s or 40s or even much later, so just relax, you guys have time to figure it out. Next, embrace evolving passions and let go of outdated dreams. In your 20s, it's easy to feel locked in a specific path or passion. For example, in my early 20s, I wanted to be an actor, and now, it's the last thing I want to do. Your interests and goals are naturally going to evolve as you grow older. So don't be afraid to let go of dreams that no longer align with who you are. Instead, embrace new passions and redefine your goals, and be okay with letting go of things that just no longer serve you. I know it can be hard when you spend a lot of time and money towards a particular career path, but at some point, if you realize that you are not happy doing this, you just gotta let it go. Next, failure is often the best teacher, if you learn from it. Failure is not the end of the road, guys. It's one of the most important stepping stones towards success. I know this firsthand, especially from my experience trying to build a nutritional supplement company. Spoiler alert, it didn't work out, but all the skills that I learned during that experience was invaluable. The reality is there is a high probability of failure when you try something new or take a risk, but the successful people are the ones that learn from them and then know what to do moving forward. My failures taught me weaknesses that I didn't know I had and helped me build resilience and allowed me to push forward to where I am today. So don't fear failure, embrace it, reflect on it, and let it fuel your next move. Next, take risk early while you have fewer responsibilities. When you're younger, it's just easier to take those risks, whether in your career or relationships or personal projects, because you likely have fewer responsibilities and financial obligations. Again, that fear of failure is real, but it's a lot easier to bounce back from those failures when you are younger. Taking risk early helps build confidence and expand your skill set and potentially put you in positions that can just change the trajectory of your life. And the longer you wait to take those chances, the harder it becomes, so take advantage of that freedom of your 20s. You'll look back and realize that your biggest rewards came from those risks that you took. Next, self-doubt never completely goes away, so learn to work through it. Even in your 30s and 40s, self-doubt still shows up. It doesn't just disappear when you've made it. What changes is your ability to recognize it and push forward anyway. At 20, you may think that you will reach a point where you're fully confident, but that's not always reality. Confidence comes from experience and resilience and just knowing how to push forward when that doubt creeps in. So learn to work through self-doubt early. Acknowledge it, but don't let it control your actions. Next, learn how to budget before you need to. In my 20s, I never budgeted. I didn't have savings, I didn't track my spending, and honestly, it set me back a lot more than I initially realized. Money might seem like something that you can just worry about later, but trust me, learning how to manage it early can be a total game changer. It's not just about saving, it's about knowing where your money goes, how to invest, and how to avoid debt traps that can just haunt you later. Once financial habits are ingrained, they're really difficult to change, so the earlier you start, the better. Next, mental health is just as important as physical health. In my 20s, I focused on my well-being while just completely disregarding my mental health. It wasn't until my 30s that I was diagnosed with ADHD and depression, and looking back, I wish I would have paid attention much sooner. Whether it's therapy, mindfulness, or simply giving yourself permission to rest, taking care of your mind directly impacts your quality of life. Burnout, stress, anxiety, these are all real things, and if you ignore them, they will snowball into much bigger problems later on. Next, your 20s is the perfect time to build systems, not just goals. In your 20s, it's so easy to get caught up in setting these big lofty goals, but without systems, those goals just become dreams. Systems are those daily processes that drive consistent action to your goals, and they're the real game changer. For example, instead of saying, I want to read more books, you create a system where you are reading 10 pages of a book every single morning before work. Over time, that system leads to reading dozens of books a year, and before you know it, you're hitting your bigger goals without even thinking about it. Your systems really will shape who you become, and in your 20s, they are the foundation for the life that you want to create. Next, trust your instincts more than you trust the opinions of others. People in your life, friends, family, colleagues, will all have an opinion on what you should do, but at the end of the day, you are the one living your life. And trusting your gut is one of the best tools that you can have to choosing decisions that align with who you are. If something feels off or doesn't sit well with you, don't be afraid to listen to that feeling, even if other people disagree. In your 20s, you are developing that inner compass, and it serves you better to just start trusting it now. You'll make way better choices when you start to believe in your own judgment over others' influence. Next, you don't have to have a perfect relationship to be happy. There's so much pressure on finding the one or having this perfect romantic relationship, but this mindset could just often lead to disappointment. True happiness and fulfillment really does come from within, and it doesn't rely on another person to complete you. Focus on developing a strong sense of self and nurturing healthy, balanced relationships, not perfect ones. Build your own values, goals, and dreams, and then after that, allow someone to come into your life and complement them. Next, stop comparing yourself to others' highlight reels. In my 20s, I was constantly comparing myself to the close friends around me who were very successful, and it ruined me. And social media makes it worse by amplifying that pressure. You only see the polished, perfect versions of everyone's lives and not the raw reality that everyone is really living behind the scenes. Trust me, everyone has their own struggles, doubts, fears, failures, even if it doesn't appear so online. And that comparison trap only makes it more difficult to appreciate your own journey and your own progress. Instead, celebrate who you are and where you've been and where you are going, because your path is yours alone and it's already enough. Next, invest in relationships that add value. You'll make so many connections in your 20s, but many of them are just not worth your time. So it's imperative to prioritize relationships with people that want to see you succeed and are rooting for you and support your growth and are actually going places themselves. And if you surround yourself with the right people, it's going to open up doors and present new opportunities for you. These are going to be the people that provide that lasting support that you need as you grow and evolve. Next, learn to celebrate small wins. We often think that big milestones are the ones we're celebrating, but small wins really drive big progress. Recognizing and celebrating every small step forward helps keep you on the right path and it keeps you motivated. Maybe you're used to drinking every weekend, but you went 30 days without having any alcohol. That's a huge achievement. Maybe you've gone to the gym every day this week, and prior to that, you would have been lucky to go once. Acknowledging these small victories creates a positive cycle of growth. And it really is the little wins that add up to the major accomplishments. Next, be mindful of your energy. Protect it fiercely. As you get older, you will realize that your energy is a precious source and not everyone needs access to it. Right now, you might be feeling the need to do everything, everywhere, all at once. But over time, you'll learn that being selective with where you put your energy will improve your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. People who drain you, toxic environments, and negative habits need to be minimized as much as possible and replace them with activities, people, and practices that elevate and charge you. Your energy is the currency that powers everything in your life, so use it wisely. Next, your friendships will evolve. Embrace it. As you move through life, you're just gonna outgrow certain friendships. That's okay. It's a natural part of a person's growth. Your priorities and your values, they're gonna shift, and not everyone in your life currently will align with them. You may need to let go of some of your old friends who just aren't simply going in the right direction and they are not helping you get to where you want to go. They say that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And if that's true, you want to make sure that your core group really is going places. And this doesn't mean that you have to burn bridges or unfollow them on Instagram, but you just need to free up some time to try and build those relationships that align with the new values that you have. So let go of the guilt and embrace the evolution of your social circle, because it's a sign that you are growing for the better. Next, learn to be comfortable with discomfort. Your 20s are a time of constant change, which can often feel uncomfortable. Whether it's stepping outside of your comfort zone, facing rejection, or dealing with the unknown, discomfort is inevitable. But at the same time, discomfort is also a sign that you're stretching your limits and growing. The more you embrace the discomfort of new experiences, the more resilient and adaptable you become. Next, don't fear missing out. Fear not being true to yourself. FOMO can consume you in your 20s, especially when everyone else around you seems like they're doing something fun. And I caught it a lot in college because it seemed like every weekend someone was doing something. I get it, it's so easy to get swept up in what other people are doing and you just want to be a part of it. At the end of the day, there's always going to be another party. There's always going to be a new concert or adventure. And if you can't do it right now, it's okay. Stay true to yourself. Don't let people guilt you into doing something that you just simply cannot do right now, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to be burdened with the responsibility of it. Next, don't try to please everyone. It's impossible. No matter how hard you try, not everyone's gonna like you or agree with you or support you. And the sooner that you realize that, the easier it'll be to focus on the people and the pursuits that matter to you most. Trying to please everyone is an exhausting, futile endeavor that only detracts from your happiness and authenticity. It's much more important to stay true to your own beliefs, values, and passions than to bend over backwards to get approval. Surround yourself with people who respect you for who you are, not for who you pretend to be. Next, time is your most valuable asset. In your 20s, it can be so easy to just take that time for granted, especially with constant distractions like social media, entertainment, and work. The truth is, time does move much faster than you think, and once it's gone, it's gone. Honestly, I went from being 27 to 34 in a blink of an eye. It is crazy to me, and every year feels like it's going by faster and faster. So prioritize things that truly matter to you, because when you look back, you'll want to say that you didn't waste your life doing something that didn't. Next, cultivate gratitude, even when things suck. In my 20s, I spent too much time focusing on what I didn't have and what was going wrong to actually see all the good around me. And when things weren't going the way I wanted, I got caught up in negative thinking. Once I started practicing gratitude, even for the small things, my perspective shifted. And I began to appreciate the moments and the people that I did have in my life, which made it so much easier to cope and not think about all the things that I didn't have. It's truly important to realize that gratitude isn't just for when things are going good. It's the key to maintaining balance and peace during those rough times as well. So when things aren't going well for you, try to find the positives. Realize that you are alive, you are breathing, you are healthy, and you have another day. Next, stop overthinking every decision. It's easy to get caught up in analysis paralysis and overthinking every decision you make. But the truth is, not every decision has to be perfect. You'll learn a lot more from just taking action and adjusting along the way than just waiting for that perfect moment that inevitably will not even come. Just like in football, when they make an audible and change the play on the fly, they took action and then made the corrective actions when they saw something that they needed to adjust. Start trusting your ability to make decisions and remember that it is okay to pivot when you need to. Next, invest in experience, not just things. While material possessions can create temporary satisfaction, experiences create lasting memories and lessons that shape who we are. Instead of focusing on buying things to impress others, focus on the moments where you get to go and travel and experience new things and make long-lasting connections. Those life-changing trips, those deep conversations, those adventures, those are what you're going to remember and still have with you 10, 20, 30 years from now. Next, don't be afraid to reinvent yourself. I used to think that the person that I was in my 20s had to be the person that I would be forever, but I've reinvented myself multiple times now. For example, when I decided to pivot and start creating YouTube videos in my 30s, it was a big risk. I wasn't sure if it was something that I should be doing in my 30s. I thought I was too old, but I'm just so grateful that I allowed myself just to go into it and just not think about that and just feel like, okay, I could still do this at this point in my life if I just go into it and just allow myself the grace to learn and figure it out. And the sooner that you realize that you may not be the same person you are years from now, the easier it is going to be to make that transition. Next, don't be afraid to take time off from ambition. In my 20s, I was just constantly driven to achieve and to hustle, and I never really gave myself the grace to reset. I believed that myth that if I wasn't always working, then I was failing and falling behind. And it wasn't until my 30s that I realized that I needed to take intentional breaks and resets. And now I understand that stepping back, recharging, and giving myself time to reflect makes me a lot more productive in the long run. Rest is not the same as laziness, and it is a powerful tool in your future success. Next, you can't control everything, so stop trying to. We often think that in order to succeed, everything has to be flawless and we need to have full control of the situation. But oftentimes, that's not reality. There's going to be times in your personal and professional life where you don't have the final say in what does and what does not happen. You're not always going to have total control over the outcome either, so you just need to get comfortable with that. Life is going to throw you curveballs and unexpected challenges that you just weren't anticipating, and you just need to be comfortable with knowing that that is going to happen and that you can't control it. Letting go of control allows you to focus your energy on what you actually can influence and just trust the process along the way. And often that growth that you are looking for lies in surrendering to the unexpected. Next, the things you resist the most are often the things you need the most. I have found that the things that I've initially resisted doing, like dealing with difficult conversations, uncomfortable truths, and just projects that were out of my comfort zone, were often the things that pushed me forward the most. For example, I resisted public speaking as long as I possibly could because I'm just so introverted and nervous and I hate talking in groups of people. But once I got to college and I faced those fears and I took those communications public speaking classes, I realized just how valuable that skill set was to have, and I just got a lot less nervous. So if something scares you or makes you feel uncomfortable, that might be the thing that you need to lean in the most because that's where you're going to have the most growth. Next, it's okay to be a beginner. Embrace it. In my 20s, I felt like I needed to be an expert at everything right away. If I wasn't good at something instantly, then it was just wasting my time and I was never going to be good at it. And that was a flawed way of thinking because obviously you need to learn and practice any new skill set. The reality is every expert was once a beginner. Your favorite YouTuber was struggling when they first turned on the camera. I definitely was one of those people. But it's that willingness to start from scratch that leads into becoming the expert and just giving yourself permission to be uncomfortable and to fail and not know what you're doing. Next, you are the stories that you tell yourself. The way you interpret events, setbacks, and challenges shape your reality more than the events themselves. If you are constantly telling yourself that you are unlucky or unworthy or incapable, those stories become self-fulfilling. Your inner dialogue matters, so start telling yourself stories of resilience and growth and possibility. Over time, those stories will shape into who you become. Next, trust that your struggle will make sense later. At times, it may feel like everything's falling apart, or that you're not where you want to be, or that all the obstacles in your life are just insurmountable. But looking back, those struggles will become the moments that just shape your character and give you that just great story that you're going to tell one day about how you overcame where you were and how you got to where you are now. Life rarely makes sense in the moment, but time has a funny way of just revealing how everything was necessary and worked out the way it did. And the challenges that you are facing today might just be the stepping stones that lead you to where you were always supposed to be. Trust that in time, everything will make sense and the dots will connect in ways that you just never imagined. Thank you all so much for sticking with me until the end. If you like this video, please don't forget to give it a like. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Blake. I hope you subscribe. I make new videos every single week and I would love to have you. Check out this next video coming up and I'll see you in the next one. Later, guys.